here. Busy serving Krishna, so I didn't notice the heat. It shows the advantages of being absorbed in Krishna's service. The threefold miseries disappear. Give me a second to set up. I'll keep that. Jaiva Dharma. Okay. Yeah, the threefold miseries disappear if one is actually serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Amazing. I just noticed it after 55 years of the Krishna consciousness movement. So anyway, so let's have a little kirtan. Doing the guitar first. Ready to roll. Okay, we're going to chant away Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur, Doyar Sadur, Eda Se, Karuna Kovi, Diya Pada Chaya, Shodaya Maya, Tumara Sharana. Jaya Begatami, Jaya Dusha Shoni, Jaya Guna Deha Nasai, Jaya Satanga, Deo Amare, Boshachi Sangera. Say, Ekaki Amara, Naipai Bono, Harinama Sangirtane, Tumikri Shada Vinudia, Deho Krishna Damadane, Krishna say Tomara, Krishna Dite Paro, Tomara Chakati Ache, Amito Gangala, Krishna Krishna Holy Jayatava Bhaje Bhaje Dia Pada Jaya Jodaya Maya Tomarat Jarana Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramacharya Alsutela Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Vidas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shishi Radha Krishna Gopinath Saim Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturanam Ki Jai Chakaragoswami Ki Jai Yamunamani Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gold Premananda Hari Hari Gold. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Budale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarni Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I'll read the translation. O Venerable Vaishnava, ocean of mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me, I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting, what? Krishna, Krishna. Okay. With that in mind, let's go to the Jaiva Dharma by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Of course, that song over Oi Vaishnava Thakur is written by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Okay. Let's go to the Jaiva Dharma. Om Gana Tumananda Shagananshana. Shilakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai. Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual masters, divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Let me just put this fan on me so I can have a cool head. One mini fan. Right. So let's share the screen. All right, let's go share the screen. Jaiva Dharma. Okay. Okay, but right here, this particular point. Because we were, okay, let me fill you in on what's been happening. That Vijay Kumar and Rajanath are asking about Bhav at this point. And as we mentioned before, they've gone very quickly from the stages of Avado, Shraddha, Sadhu, Sangota, Bhajana Kriya, Tarna, Nocturne, Vritti Shat, Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava. So, really quick. So I'm going to describe what those different stages are. First stage is, in the beginning, there's a little interest that's called the Doshrada. Next is Doshrada Sadhu Sangha, one associates with the devotees. And then when one associates with the devotees, the next stage is Bhajana Kriya. One begins to execute devotional service in the association of devotees. And then as one begins to execute devotional service, one gets rid of the unwanted things, anartha and vritti shat. Then one becomes steady, nishta, 24/7. Then after nishta, you get ruchi, a real taste. And then after that, a shakti, one who gets completely attached to Krishna and completely detached from the material world. And then after a shakti comes bhava. And the only thing after bhava is prema. So they're really like inquiring. And then all this took place within a few weeks from their taking initiation. And as I cautioned everybody before, don't think that will happen to you in the same exact way. All right, let me just check the sound levels, make sure. Hold on a second. I just have to make sure everyone's hearing me properly. Settings. Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. We just heard about the Ladini Shakti, which is the pleasure potency. It's giving pleasure to Krishna, but also gives pleasure to us, but we give pleasure to Krishna. So let's just end the last paragraph here. When the Ladini function combines with the Samvit function, its essence is bhava. So let's review, as we read this yesterday. When the pleasure potency, the Ladini Shakti function or potency, combines with the cognitive function, all right, instead of Ladini, we'll use the Ananda, the bliss function, combines with the knowledge function, then its essence is spiritual motion, bhava. By the Samvit function, Samvit again is the knowledge function, one knows the objects. By the Ladini or the pleasure potency function, one becomes blissful on perceiving an object. So, in other words, without Samvit or the knowledge potency, one would not know which object is going to give Krishna pleasure and ultimately give you satisfaction and pleasure. So you need both together, Samvit and Ladini. Of course, implicit is that you also need the Sandhani potency. So Sandhani means that the existence, existential potency. Without the existential potency, you don't have any existence. There is nothing. Anyway, so that is implicit in this whole description. The highest object in the form of Krishna is known through the all-revealing function of the Swarup Shakti, the internal energy of Krishna. He cannot be known through the meager Samvit, that means the cognitive or knowing function of the Jiva soul, the individual soul, Shakti. When the Swarup Shakti, the internal potency, manifests in the heart of the Jiva, with the individual soul, by the mercy of the Lord or a devotee, then the cognitive or knowing function of the internal potency, Swarup Shakti, functions in our hearts, in the heart of the Jiva. When that happens, knowledge of the spiritual world is revealed. Wow. When will that day be mine when knowledge of the spiritual world is revealed? The Swarup, the form of the spiritual world, is pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. In other words, I'm giving translations of all these Sanskrit terms. The Swarup form of the material world is a gross existence or category mixed with the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, ignorance, sattva, rajas, and tamas. One develops a taste for the spiritual world when the essence of the Hladini Shakti, pleasure potency, mixes with awareness of the spiritual world. Wow. Wow. So when will that day be mine? When I have that awareness. When the taste becomes full, in other words, when bhava becomes fully, the emotion becomes fully developed, it is called prema. Prema means unalloyed love. Okay, unalloyed love. Unalloyed means only the desire to please Krishna. And you're not even concerned with your bhava anymore, with your emotions. You just want Krishna to be happy. If your misery makes Krishna happy, then that's fine. Then your misery is your happiness. And if that doesn't make sense, think about it a little bit. When the taste becomes full, it is called prema. Prema is like the sun, and bhava is its ray. In other words, you have the sun, and the manifestation of the sun is the sun's ray. That is how bhava can be identified. The special quality of bhava, motion, spiritual motion, is that it melts the jiva's heart by taste. Wow. This is really important information here. Taste, or ruchi, ruchi means taste, means desire to attain Krishna, desire for pleasing service, and desire for a friendly relationship. Bhava is said to be the first splendor or ray of prema. Emotions, spiritual emotions, be the first indication of pure love. Melting of the heart means the heart becomes soft, no longer hard-hearted. In the Tantras are instructive literatures, it is said that the first stage of prema is called bhava, same thing. First stage of love is the emotions. With the appearance of emotions, bhava, sattvika bhavas, that is, sattvika bhavas are symptoms of emotions from the mode of, pure mode of goodness, like hairs standing on end, manifest to a small degree. Sattvika bhavas. That means bhavas that come from the pure mode of goodness. Nitya siddhas, that means souls who never come to the material world, are never in illusion, naturally have spiritual motion, bhava. When emotion appears in the bound jiva, that's us, prabhus, it manifests in the mental functions and then becomes the functions themselves. So, manifests in our minds, okay? And then we later enact them. Thus, although bhava is self-manifesting, it appears to manifest from something. In other words, when we think of something, then it appears. In other words, we're bound. We're conditioned souls. So we have to make a conscious effort with our minds. And it appears that our meditation on Krishna's pastimes, or meditation on the deities in our minds, we're using our minds, is the source of the bhava, but it is not. Bhava is self-manifesting. That's just the explanation of most spiritual motion. The natural action of bhava, or emotion, spiritual motion, is to reveal Krishna's form, swarup, and the form or swarup of his activities, pastimes. When Krishna and his pastimes manifest in the mental functions, they seem to manifest from other knowledge material. In other words, I have some knowledge of Krishna's, this morning we're reading about the coward boys. So I have some knowledge about Krishna's coward boy pastimes. And so that knowledge, it seems like it's, read from a book or my Kindle. And it seems mature, but it's not. Even though it may appear to manifest through some mental adjustment, but it's not. Rati, that means a taste, is actually the form of taste itself, which is the definition of rati. However, for the bound jiva, the bound soul, that's us, rati functions as the cause of tasting Krishna's pastimes. In other words, when you have a attraction for Krishna or a taste for Krishna, then you taste Krishna. Seems like defining something like by what it is. So Prajna says, does bhava have different types? The spiritual motion of different types, and the Babaji said, yes, there is a difference according to its origin. Bhava, that means emotion arising from absorption in sadhana, which means practice, and bhava, emotion arising from the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. So there's two types of bhava. That arising from sadhana practice is generally seen. Bhava arising from mercy is rare. But by Prabhupada's mercy, not saying me, but we all have this emotions, spiritual emotions coming to us. Rajanath said, what is the bhava arising from sadhana practice? So again, he's talking about the two types of practice. There are two types of practice arising from Vaidhi sadhana, which is practice according to rules, and also the other type is arising from raganuga, spontaneous practice. Emotion arising, bhava arising from sadhana practice first gives rise to ruchi, a taste, then a shakti actually for Krishna, complete attachment, finally to rati or bhava. So that was the progress that I mentioned before. Let's go over that whole list again. Not the whole list. Okay, yeah, we'll go over this. In the beginning, there's some interest. Then the next stage, I'm not going to use the Sanskrit. The next stage, you associate with the devotees. The next stage, you try to get rid of the unwanted things in your heart, like lust, anger, greed, delusion, envy. The next stage is you become steady, completely steady, because you've pretty much gotten rid of all those unwanted things. And the next stage after that, you get a taste. It's ruchi. And then after ruchi, you get a sakti, which means complete attachment for Krishna. And after that, you get bhava. And after that, you get prema, but that's not mentioned here. In the Puranas and Natya Shastra, Natya means dancing Shastra, dancing literatures. Purana means something that's old, but it's specifically formatted a certain way. Rati and bhava have the same meaning. I speak of them also as being the same. In bhava, I think I've explained that means emotion arising from devotional service and practice, Vaidhi Bhakti. Faith gives rise to nishta, steadiness. Nishta means steadiness, and nishta produces ruchi, a taste. In bhava arising from spontaneous bhakti, raganuga bhakti, suddenly ruchi arises. Wow. Give me that old spontaneous bhakti, not old. And so that's from sadhana. So, we could do a whole chart on this, which I'm not going to do right now. Rajanath said, what is bhava? Spiritual motion arising from Krishna and his devotees' mercy, special mercy. It's called kripa siddhi. And then Babaji explains, bhava, emotion, which suddenly arises without practice, Vaidhi, or raganuga bhakti sadhana, another spontaneous practice, is called bhava arising from Krishna or his devotee's mercy. And Prajnath says, what types of bhava are produced from Krishna's mercy? Also, he's asking not only what types, he's asking how is bhava produced from Krishna's mercy. So just filling out the question based on Babaji's response. Babaji said, Krishna's mercy may be verbal, I bless you, glancing upon a devotee, blessing with his eyes, or manifesting in the heart. Krishna may say to a person, O best of the Brahmana, may fixed bhakti filled with bliss, the crown jewel of all auspiciousness, appear in you. Wow. I wish Krishna would do that with me. Just by the Lord saying this, the Brahman manifests bhava. Wow. There's a story in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita that Gopakumar is preaching to a Mathura Brahmana. Gopakumar is a cowboy. Gopakumar is a pure devotee at this point in the story. And this Mathura Brahman has just heard Gopakumar's whole story of how he became a devotee of the Supreme Personality of God and how he attained pure devotional service. And the Brahmin is not quite yet a pure devotee. So Gopakumar just like touches him, and by his touch, he becomes immersed in bhava and prema. The inhabitants of Jungala, that's in the jungle, it's a place, had never seen Krishna. Just by seeing him, bhava arose in their hearts by the strength of his mercy. That is bhava arising from his giving darshan. And we have that every day with the deities. The mercy that arises in the heart, one can see, one can see in the life of Shukadev and others. So how did one see that? Well, Shukadev had the association of Krishna while he was in the womb. He had the association of his father. So that arose in his heart. The three types of bhava manifested many times during the avatar, incarnation, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, of Mahaprabhu. Many people manifested bhava just by seeing him. Wow. Would I love to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagai and Madhai were seen to have bhava manifesting by his words. I bless you, I forgive you. These were two criminals. Jaiva Goswami had bhava arising from mercy in the heart. These are amazing explanations. Amazing, amazing. Rajana said, what is bhava arising from the mercy of devotees? Babaji said, by the mercy of Narada, Dhruva, and Prahlad, Narada, Dhruva and Prahlad manifested auspicious desires. By the mercy of Rupa, Sanatan, etc., many people developed a desire for bhakti, including me. Vijay Kumar said, what are the symptoms of the manifestation of bhava? Okay, so here's how we can know externally that perhaps someone is in bhava. Doesn't mean absolutely they're on bhava, because sometimes we find people who are dedicated to something else who have some of these same symptoms. Babaji said tolerance, not wasting time. So these are external symptoms. Detachment, lack of pride, being bound by hope, longing, constant taste for chanting the name, attachment to the descriptions of Krishna's qualities, attraction to living in Krishna's living place are the anubhavas produced by bhava. What are anubhavas? Means the bhavas that follow, or the manifestations of bhava that follow, such as dancing would be an anubhava. But the general qualities are tolerance, not wasting time, detachment, a lack of pride, being bound by hope, longing, constant taste for chanting the name, attachment to description of Krishna's qualities. I'm reading again. Attraction to living in Krishna's living place are the anubhavas produced by bhava. So they're the symptoms, which are called anubhavas, which follow the bhavas, anubhavas. And what is tolerance? Shanti. To remain undisturbed when there are causes to be disturbed is called tolerance. So there's defining some of these terms. Shanti and shalom, forbearance, are synonymous. Right, Vijay Kumar says, what is the quality of not wasting time? Babaji said he does not let time pass uselessly. Always he is absorbed in worshiping the Lord. Vijay Kumar says, what is detachment? A disgust for objects of the senses is called detachment. Not, let us say, not that one is like, you objects of the senses, even though it appears to be like that, but one is just like averse to getting into the objects of the senses. You know, one is neutral, one sense. It's called nirupeksha. Vijay Kumar said, can the person who has taken Babaji renunciation say that he is detached? Interesting statement. Babaji said, Babaji is a worldly usage. When Baba appears in the heart, the attraction for the spiritual world is strong. The attraction for the material world decreases and almost disappears. This is called detachment. A person who, having attained detachment, takes Babaji. It's a renounced order of life where someone just like lives very simply, with the goal of restricting anything not related to Baba. And he's called a detached Vaishnava. The person who, before manifesting Baba, takes Babaji dress is an unauthorized Babaji. He is not a Babaji. When Mahaprabhu punished Chota Haridas, he taught the world this lesson. Of course, the story for Chota Haridas, I can tell the whole story, but Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected him because he manifested signs of attachment in a certain way. So not that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu internally rejected him, but externally he appeared to reject him. But internally he didn't reject him. And externally, the reason he did that was to set an example for us that, you know, if someone is a Babaji, which Chota Haridas was, or taking the Babaji order, then very strict standard. That's why we don't have Babajis in the Krishna conscious movement. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had one devotee who gave Babaji initiation to, and that devotee is was an absolutely pure devotee. That was Krishnadas Babaji, who I knew. And he simply chanted Krishna's name and was completely detached from anything. And even when the devotees asked him his opinion about the different managerial topics, he just laughed at them and chanted Hare Krishna. So that's what a Babaji is like. He doesn't get into, management, things like that. So I'm not a Babaji. Vijay Kumar said, what is the absence of pride? Babaji said, pride arises from birth, good family, one of the chosen people. Varna, that is according to, the Vedic system, sorry about that. Varna would mean like, I'm a Brahmin, or you're a Kshatriya. High in society. Ashram, I'm a brahmachari, better than the other castes. Or I'm a sannyasi. I am considered to be the guru of all the other castes. Wealth, I have so much money, like that. One becomes very proud. You see that actually with people who are extremely wealthy. I mean, they go through one wife after the other. Strength, I'm strong. Beauty. And you see this with people who are extremely beautiful or extremely handsome. I mean, it's just their life is just like destroyed. Even when people have a lot of wealth, they sort of inherit a lot of money, or there was a previous president of the United States who inherited a lot of money. It was really crazy guy. And or beauty, you see all these beauty queens or these models, actresses like that. I mean, they can't have a stable relationship or a high position. Guru Maharaj. So I get some of these. No beauty, no strength, not too much well. Ashram, yeah. So, but it's not that you have those things, you have pride. It's that you get prideful because of those things. But someone can have those things and not be prideful. A person who can give up pride in these things, even though he has them, this is the point, is called the person devoid of pride. In the Padma Purana is written that a chief king developed bhakti for Krishna, giving up pride in the wealth of his kingdom. He would beg for a living in the cities ruled by his enemy. He would offer respects at all times to Brahmanas and Chandalas. Now, of course, that's a manina manatena. Wow, what a beautiful explanation. Vijay Kumar said, what is being bound by hope? So actually, Rupa Goswami calls this hope against hope, knowing that Krishna will actually save you, take you, give you pure devotional service, even though you have no good qualities. So Babaji said, absorbing the mind in worship with firm faith that Krishna will definitely give mercy is being bound by hope. I have that faith. Vijay Kumar said, what is longing? Babaji said, intense greed to attain Krishna is called longing. This is such nectar, isn't it? Vijay Kumar said, what is having a constant taste for chanting the name? Babaji answers, among all the methods of worship, chanting the name is the best. With that faith, if one chants the Lord's name constantly, it is called always chanting the name with taste. A taste for the name produces all results. You will understand Nama Tattva separately at another time. It's interesting. Now he's already gone from Raganuga, angry for Baba. I mean, hasn't heard about Nama Tattva yet. Anyway, I guess he's Raganuga. Yeah, he's definitely Raganuga. Vijay Kumar said, what is attachment to topics about the Lord's qualities? Babaji said in the Krishna Karnamrita, that's the first book by Bilvamangal Thakur, it is said, Mathuriyada Pimaduram Manmatotta Tashakim Api Kaisharam Chapalyadapi Chapalam Chetavataharati Antakim Kurma. That youthful Krishna with the qualities of Cupid, who is extremely sweet and extremely fickle, has stolen my heart. What should I do? Wow. Wish you would steal my heart. No matter how much one hears or speaks the topics of Krishna's qualities, the desire to hear or speak does not diminish, but increases. In other words, there's no satiation. More and more and more. It's like you have unlimited hunger and you could just keep eating 24 hours a day and digesting. Vijay Kumar said, what is attachment to living in the place of the Lord? Babaji said, a devotee at some time performs parikrama of Navadvip. That's where Lord Chaitanya had his early pastimes. Yes. O inhabitants of the Dham, where did the Lord take birth? What path did the Lord's kirtan take? Where did the Lord perform forenoon pastimes with the cowards? The people replied, the Lord was born on that raised earth, surrounded by a forest of pure tulasi in Mayapur. Of course, that's where Bhaktivinoda Thakur discovered, or how Bhaktivinoda Thakur discovered the Lord's appearance place. He saw there was a raised place covered by tulsi plants. The first kirtan went through the villages of Ganga, Nagara, Sumiya, Agadagacha, Majida, etc. Drinking the nectar from the mouths of the inhabitants of Gauda through his ears with tears and hair standing on end, the devotee performs parikrama. That is the meaning of attraction for the living place of the Lord. In other words, when one goes to a holy place, One just like, wow, what did Krishna do here? What did Chaitanya do here? It's like when we take the devotees around Govardhan, it's like that. We explain the different pastimes of Krishna that occurred in different places at Govardhan. Wow. Wow. Rajanath said, can I determine that a person has manifested bhava emotions by seeing this type of symptom? No, you can't understand it pro or con just by seeing things externally, because people can imitate, and so externally you cannot understand it. And so when it was not going to manifest it for you, because you will become a sahaja, take things cheaply. Babaji answers, no, the bhava that arises in the heart factually is called rati or bhava. If one sees this bhava elsewhere, it is not bhava. In other words, if one sees the manifestations of bhava where someone that didn't come from the heart, it just comes from externally, like a imitation, then it's not bhava. So Rajanath asked for some examples. He says, please give us the understanding, or help us understand by giving a few examples of this. Someone who is non-bhava but manifests some symptoms. Babaji gives an example. A person desiring liberation. I just want to get out of this material world, chanting Namavash. Namavash means a reflection of the name, not pure name. On hearing of the power of the name to give liberation, on hearing examples of that power, begins crying and falls unconscious. Someone says, by chanting, you get liberated. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Because he's so enthusiastic, he doesn't waste any time. He's really focused because he wants liberation, not pure devotion and service. That is not called Krishna Rati or Krishna Bhava, which is the same thing, since he does not have real Bhava for Krishna. With greed for his meager goal of liberation, he just wants to get the heck, H-E-double-L, out of this material world. He shows this abhas reflection of Bhava, but it is not spiritual emotion. That's a really good example. Some persons desiring material enjoyment worship Durga and praise, give me blessings, give me wealth. Thinking the goddess has the power to fulfill his desire, he weeps rolling on the ground. This is not bhava. According to the circumstances, one may call it bhava abha, or degeneration of bhava. Bhava doryatma, bad bhava. Real bhava will not arise except by pure worship of Krishna. Now, even if one worships Krishna for some material attainment, and just like appears to be so determined, I want this, I want this, I want this. Krishna, Krishna, give me. Om Jaya Jagadishari. Swami Jaya Jagadishari. Like we have these different performances that people from India perform. One is called Satyanarayan Katha, where they tell each other different stories about how someone who worshiped Krishna and they got so much opulence, they got so enthusiastic to chant. And that chanting is not, or enthusiasm is not real bhava. The bhava of asa, that means not real bhava, that arises from the desire for material enjoyment, mukti, which is what that means, or liberation, mukti from Krishna, is special depravity, or yatmya of bhava. Wow. So if someone's worshiping Krishna for bhukti or mukti, or liberation or sense grad, that's depraved, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When bhava appears in the heart, contaminated by mayavada, where one thinks that Krishna's form is illusion, is all a depravity of bhava. It's depraved. It's not, it's a material reflection. So you can't tell externally. That's the real point. So even if a person remains unconscious for 7 praharas, that's the amount of time, in front of Krishna, it is not called bhava. Persons free of all material desires and eternally liberated persons search for this bhava, but Krishna does not quickly give it, even if one does many types of worship, since it is very hidden. Shoo. very rare. That rati for the Lord cannot, or bhava for the Lord, cannot appear in the hearts afflicted with bhukti, desire for material things, mukti, liberation, and kama means lust, and devoid of pure bhakti. So we have to be careful not to get confused when people have this imitation bhava. Prajna said, Prabhu, it is seen in many places the people thirsting for bhukti and mukti display the symptoms of bhava mentioned previously, liberation and sense grad, while doing kirtan. What is that called? I mean, you go to many of these Bhagavad Saptas, you see this all the time. They go for different material purposes. Usually they're not liberation. Usually you go to Bhagavad Saptas for making money or being fortunate, or they do section Orion, Kata, all sorts of perversions. Babaji said, those signs of bhava in such people are only astonishing to foolish people. Those foolish people get confused, or they mistake this sign of so-called bhava. Those who know the truth about bhava, spiritual motion, rejected as rati, which means bhava, the same thing according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or abhas, reflection, or bhava avas, which is the same thing, rati, bhava, avas. It's a reflection or a shadow of real emotion. And with that in mind, because next we're going to get into different types of ratyabhas, or ratyabhas, or bhavabhas, different types, which get quite interesting. Actually, this is interesting, even for those of us who are on the lower platforms of devotional service, not in prema with the spirit, not in bhava, or not in raganuga, you were still in vaidhi. This is useful information for us, so we don't get confused, because someone could come along and exhibit Radhe, 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 and we'll get confused. Oh, what a great devotee of Radharani that is. It ain't like that. It's what's in the heart that determines. It's not the external. External things can be manifest very easily. A good actor can manifest crocodile tears if he or she wants. Crocodile tears means imitation tears. Okay, very interesting information. Let us stop sharing, and hopefully we can take some questions from all of you. Let me allow you to unmute yourselves. Okay, you can unmute yourself, you could type in the chat window, or you could raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Does anyone have any questions? Questions, comments, arguments, things you really are confused about, clarification? Oh, no one. Again, you can type in the text window. Oh, Gopal, Mr. Gopal.
Please accept my question, Gurudev.
So you have a question?
Yes, Gurudev. You were talking about bhava that's not due to Krishna Rati. And people often, especially Srila Prabhupada, describes it as people making a show for their own aggrandizement or for whatever. But sometimes due to shadow attachment, being in the association of great devotees, we may also feel some sentiment rising in our hearts. So other than gratitude...
we won't make a show. But we won't make a show of it. That's the difference.
But internally, when we recognize it in ourselves, even we're holding it back. Is there anything other than gratitude towards those devotees that are actually leaking their bhava on us?
Gratitude means service.
Okay.
You have to serve them and tolerate everything to serve them.
Thank you, Gurudev.
I don't know if you like that answer. But anyway, you have
I
to
love that.
tolerate everything and all the difficulties that arise because of the body or the mind or other living entities, material nature in general. I mean, just like we're here in New Orleans, it's quite hot. And as I mentioned last night, we have my own personal heater in the room, which is the exhaust pipe for the kitchen, which is a big kitchen. And these devotees, they're from Bengal, they cook all day long and all night.
Oh, no.
Last night, the exhaust pipe was on until about 11 o'clock at night. So just even take shelter, sleep in the room. I actually slept on the floor because the cold air stays down, the hot air rises.
May I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, sir.
So earlier, Babaji Maharaj said that one is considered to be equal poised, I believe, when he doesn't become disturbed, even in the presence of causes for disturbance.
That's right.
So when is there ever a situation where there's no cause for disturbance in this world?
Sometimes when one's sleeping.
Oh, okay.
Comfortably sleeping. I mean, sometimes everything, even materially, sometimes everything just goes right. I mean, I've experienced that. I think we've all experienced it at certain times. Maybe you haven't.
I'll take your word for it.
That everything just like, serendipity, Prabhu. What is that song? Zippity doo dah, zippity day. You ever heard that song?
Yes, Gurudev.
That's, sometimes everything goes right.
But with the threefold miseries, coming from three different directions, it seems like they've got the gamut pretty covered for disturbance.
Yeah, but not 24 hours a day. I mean, it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're going up and sometimes you're going down.
Mm. Thank you, Gurudev.
Yeah, sukha dukkha. Chapala sukha, you heard the word chapala sukha, sukha dukkha, bhogatiyaga. Just like when I'm eating, I'm enjoying. After that, I get the stomach ache.
But I've never heard Chapala Dukkha.
Chapala sukha.
Right. But there's never been Chapala Dukkha. In other words,
you
dukkha.
haven't experienced Chapala dukkha, so you got special mercy from the Lord where he gives you constant dukkha.
Mm.
But Krishna is known as Dukkha Hantri. Dukkha Hantri means the person who destroys your dukkha.
Wow.
Interesting. There was a devotee named Dukkha Hantri, which means the person, a servant, or a person, the servant of Krishna who destroys the dukkha or the misery. It's a nice name.
Wonderful.
Dukkha.
Thank you.
I'm in the material world, so I can be called Sukha Hantri. Person who destroys happiness. Anyway, okay, Anu, you have a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, Danva Pranam Ji, Shri Prabhupada Ji.
Where's problem?
Maharaji, on the same question, when we say equipoised, what does he mean by being equipoised? Because sometimes it's taken as if devotee does not have emotions or he wouldn't be disturbed at all. But
well, equipoise means we continue doing our duty. We may have emotions, we may even talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the example would be, like I'm here in New Orleans, I have a certain duty to perform on GBC. We have all these meetings and everything like that. And it's very hot in the room. I talk about it, I complain about it, but it doesn't change my service. I still go. It's like someone says, this is difficult, what I'm doing, but I'm still going to do it. I'm not going to change my behavior. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
One remains determined. Ekeha Kurinandana. One is one pointed, one remains determined.
Yes, Maharaji, it does make
Makes sense.
it.
And one one doesn't get disturbed. I'm not disturbed by it. I'm just like, it's not something pleasant. I may complain about it, but
Mhm.
it doesn't disturb me in the sense of interfering with my service for Krishna.
And then
Oh.
how to attain that equipoise position though?
Through bhakti, just thinking of pleasing Krishna.
Mhm.
Just like someone, even in the material world, if you're thinking of pleasing someone you love. I mean, I'll give you an example. I was out, I here in New Orleans, I go out and walk early in the morning because it's the only time where it's actually tolerable. And this morning, the last few mornings, I'm walking out, and people are walking at that time too. I'm saying Hare Krishna to them, but many people are walking with their dogs, and as they're walking with the dog does something that's undesirable. I think everybody can understand what the dog does. It's undesirable. And the person is gladly, because there's rules here in the city. I'm in the city, that you can't leave the dog's remnants around. So the person gladly is picking up. I mean, because I don't have any love for doing it. So if you ask me to go pick up some pieces of dog stool, I mean, it was just like, oh my God. I mean, Prabhupada asked I would do it. I don't think I would do it for anyone else. But I mean, it's just like, oh my God, what a disgusting thing. So, but this person's doing it. I was watching, they have a smile on their face, and they actually watch as the dog, lifts his tail and does his thing. And they just like, they're smiling like it's a symptom of ecstasy or a symptom of love. So when there's love, of course, they're loving dog instead of D-O-G instead of G-O-D. Then one is capable of tolerating and continuing what they're doing with a loving mood. Okay?
Thank you so much, Maharaji. Thank you. Ji.
And so now it's time to end because it's time for my prasadam, which is nice.